Hey guys, it's me Rebecca. So this will be the start of another weekly vlog, and so for today I've just done some work, and I also hung out with a friend I didn't film because, well, I just didn't want to, also I just don't film my friends, so yeah. But we did go to Barnes and Nobles where we get to look like they get Jade Legacy by Vandals, which I think you can see behind me. I don't remember. Yeah, that's the book and the Green Bone Saga. And also I got this new release called The Lamb by Lucy Rose. That one is already upstairs in my bedroom because it is the drawer and that just happens to be up there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading both of them when I get to them eventually. I don't know why I'm so tired today. Like I've not done like a whole lot, but I just feel so drained. I don't know if it's because I just didn't sleep properly last night or if it's just because of the I don't know, but yeah. But I have started Annihilation by Jovin Demir and I'm on page 70. I just started this today. But this is about this expedition to an area called Area X, and this is the 12th expedition. And with the other 11, like things have gone wrong. Like the first return with reports of pristine, idyllic landscape. The second ended in a suicide, resulted in a hail of gunfire as its members turned on one another. And the members of the 11th expedition returned as shadows of their former selves, and within all had died of cancer and were following the 12th. And so far I'm finding this interesting because with the 12th they are in a way alienated from themselves and from each other. Like we have the anthropologist, the psychologist, the what else? The surveyor, and our narrator, the biologist. Like they are known by their woes, not by their name. And it seems like this was done purposeful. Our narrator, who is the biologist, starts to wonder to prevent them from asking questions. Like they were given a lot of information on the maps, and they weren't really able to question this information. And the weird thing is with our psychologist is that she's the de facto leader, and it's like she had to put them under hypnosis in order to get them to this area because they couldn't enter it permanently, and yet she'll say a phrase or say something and they are supposed to be hypnotized by her, like even when they are in area X, like she puts them under hypnosis. It's like she is supposed to be the one controlling them. And we see at first how they had like a fifth member of their group, a linguistic, but for some reason she did not cross the border into area X. Like apparently last second she turned back. And then the anthropologist goes missing, and then the surveyor and the biologist later find her dead in this thing where the biologist sees it as a tower, and yet the psychologist is describing it as a tunnel. And in this tower tunnel thing, there's these writing on the walls, and it's like almost has a spell over those who are reading it and using them. And our narrator, being the biologist, like she something like contaminates her, like something from this writing enters her system, and she for some reason doesn't say anything to anyone, and she thinks it's making her immune to the psychologist's like hypnosis. And yeah, I'm very much intrigued about what's going on, and for some reason the psychologist, when the surveyor and the biologist are in the tower, abandons them, takes half of their stuff, like half of their supplies, that's the term, and that's the part meant. And with our biologist, yeah, it seems like she also has a more personal reason for entering Area X besides mapping it out and finding out like What exactly is an Area X? It turns out her husband was a member of the 11 expedition, and when he came back, he didn't recognize her. He was slowly forgetting her, slowly forgetting about their marriage, like slowly, like he was losing himself. And even though she would visit him, she tried to have him remember. He forgot, like he wasn't himself when he returned. And we see how that impacted her and how that affected her, and how eventually he did die from cancer, and made her intrigued, like what exactly in Area X and what exactly happened. Because with the 11 expedition, the weird thing is, like, they went in and then they mysteriously disappeared and then mysteriously reappeared in here. They all said that they don't remember how they got back to Earth, or back to, I guess, our lives. So, yeah, there's a lot of questions I'm having, like, what exactly is Area X? What exactly is going on in a tower? What's up with the psychology? Like, who is trying to control, like, what these women are thinking, or the behavior of the women while they are in Area X? Like, I don't know, I have a lot of questions, and yeah, I would say I am intrigued. It's like I'm intrigued to see if the surveyor and the biologist, if they will be slowly losing their minds as well. And yeah, I think that's all for now. So I'll see you when I. So it's the next day, and we did get some snow last night, so I spent this morning cleaning it up and whatnot. And I've also done some work on my computer and whatnot, and I have done quite a bit of reading of Annihilation, and I'm on page, I think, 154. I'm on, like, chapter 5. And we see when the biologist and the surveyor, when they get back to their to their base camp, the biologist, she's trying to look at the samples she took in a tower tunnel thing, and it doesn't exactly make sense to her. Like, it's like this thing is human or pretending to be human. It's not clear, and the photographs they took turned out to be useless. They did take photos of the writing on the wall, and all of those pictures, it came out of the focus and like it dark, and you just cannot see what it is. And we see, like, while it's that biologist's turn to keep watch and see if the psychologist returns, that the biologist, like, she feels as though, like, her life prior to being in Area X, like the training and all of that, like, it feels like a dream, in that none of it matters. Like, it's almost like she's becoming a part of Area X, which I'm not entirely sure what it is, Area X, if it's like this village or this a certain area on Earth where there's this, like, border base that's, like, not easy to access or whatnot. Like, I don't really understand. Like, from what we know, what the people of this world know, is that it just appeared one day, like, and that the general public, they don't know, like, the true existence. Like, the government was like, oh yeah, it's some localized environmental catastrophe thing that came from some military research. Like it doesn't really make sense what it is to me. And we see more of how her husband was after he came back from Area X, how he was like a shadow of himself, almost. Like, he had gaps in his memory, he would also forget stuff, and he just didn't seem like himself. Like, what really caused the biologist to pull the trigger and call the authorities was him looking at the boat he had. He was a big sailor, not really, like, and kind of stared blankly at it. And when she led him away from the boat, he didn't look back at all. So she knew that something in him had changed, and I don't know, I'm very much curious to see how that is and what that was. And yeah, and she does go, like, okay, she goes to the lighthouse to figure things out, and the surveyor stays behind because, like, what if the psychologist, like, is there and just tries to do something which is reasonable? But so the biologist, she goes by herself, and while there she sees, like, at one point there was life in the village, but now there's nothing, and strange things are occurring in a sense. Like a dolphin washes up on shore and it almost appears human. And that's not the first time we see something compare human like death in Area X is different to death in, I guess, in our world. Because when the biologist, I keep on mispronouncing the narrator because that's what she is to us. Like, she is speaking directly to the reader, and she does address the reader, and it's like, yeah, I wasn't very. I didn't tell you the whole truth, and now I'm gonna tell you the whole truth. Sort of matter, but when she's coming back from the lighthouse, she sees this mask of someone, and the face is so familiar. It is the face of someone who was on the 11th expedition with her husband. So it seems like some part of them stayed behind in Area X while, like, the rest of them died, which is interesting in my opinion. But yeah, when the narrator's in the lighthouse, she finds these journals that were hidden, and like these are all of the journals from all expeditions, but and there's so many of them, like they are so high and so wide, it's weird, ridiculous. But the weird thing is, she finds journals from before the first expedition, and it seems like there were others. Like, this has been going on for much longer than, I guess, this government has let people know, or I'm not entirely sure what these journals could mean. She did read, but they all did contain something about the writing on the wall, which is interesting. But I'm just curious if what that's all about. But I don't know. We'll begin those answers. But yeah, and she does find a psychologist who was contaminated by something. Like, the psychologist does die, and we do learn what annihilation is supposed to mean. When the psychologist sees the biologist, she says annihilation. When the psychologist dies, the biologist finds a list of I guess commands that's supposed to put someone under hypnosis, and she learns what annihilation is supposed to mean. And I'm not gonna say what that is because, yeah. But yeah, when she gets back to the base camp, the surveyor who's been left alone all night, like, they were in complete isolation. Like, there's no one around, no life, nothing. It's just them. So with the surveyor, it was just her and her thoughts. And I'm not sure if the surveyor, I don't know. She was supposed to. They were supposed to be writing in journals, and it seems like the surveyor didn't write down in any journals or anything. Like, it is mentioned she was ex-military, so I'm not sure if she had some form of some PTSD or something else. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to. But the surveyor just tried to kill the biologist because she sees the biologist has been glowing, and it's because of the fact that biologist was contaminated by whatever is in the tower. And there's a tiny bit of a shootout because the biologist is able to kill the surveyor, and I'm saying, like, if the surveyor might have struggled or something because she tried to destroy the base camp, like destroy the photos, destroy the biology samples, destroy all food rations, like, let's destroy everything. Like, I don't know, it's quite weird if the surveyor thought, like, that she was going to be able to kill the biologist and go back to the expected, go back to the border. But I guess she did it just in case she failed, and the biologist would die anyway. But the biologist has this habit of, probably from the fact she grew up in impoverished environment, it seems, but she did hide food in the West, and so she had some of her own rations that she lost for a few weeks, and this reader wasn't able to destroy everything. But still, I am intrigued to see what happens next, because the biologist is completely alone. Like the anthropologist, the psychologist, and the surveyor are all dead, and it's just her now. So I'm curious to see how that affects her, because she's completely isolated. Like there's no one around, no life, nothing. She has this glow to her. She's contaminated by something. Like I'm just intrigued to see how this changes her. And yeah, I do have to say that before the surveyor actually tried to convince the psychologist, not psychologist, my word, the biologist, to say her name, but it doesn't seem like what's the point of it anymore, because they no longer have their names, just their titles. And I'm only saying that because there was a line that I really like. This is really like, I would say when after the psychologist died, and the biologist is going through her pockets trying to find anything, and she finds a letter with a name on it. And it's been quite a long time since she's heard a actual name. And she says, "A name was a dangerous luxury here. Sacrifices didn't need names. People who served the function didn't need to be named. In all ways, the name was a further and unwanted confusion to me. A dark space that kept growing and growing in my mind." They are essentially sacrifices. Like, I think they are all aware that they might not be coming back here, that they will die on this expedition. So, yeah, I found that line interesting, but yeah, I think that's it. And I think that's all for now. I want to lie down so much, I don't know why I'm like feeling out of it. And yeah, so I'll see. So it's the next day, and I'm sorry if I look like in a bit disarrayed. I did have to go out today, and it's quite a bit windy, so yeah. But I did finish Annihilation, and I'm gonna give this 4 stars. Now, we do see more of our main character on how our biologist, like, she didn't really fit in really anywhere. Like, she wasn't really much of a city person, having lived there because of her work, her husband's work, and also because she was someone who was in the field, like, and there was a but there was like one time she was in this town to study like some taboos or something, and she would have one night stands but didn't form any connections, and she knew that the people of the town would think her mad with some of the ways she was. So yeah, I guess that's like just to show like what she decides in the end, I guess. But she does go through the journals, and it shows like how, despite the people who came back from Area X, like, were changed, Area X remained the same. How it was treated like almost like a life entity, and warned, and the people like warned in their journals not to antagonize it. It's a living, breathing thing, whatever is in Area X. And she does look at the contaminated cells she took from the psychologist, and like non-contaminated cells, and they look normal. Like, there's no oddities in those samples, and she does admit there's some like transformations occurring in that the habitats were transitioning in like unnatural ways. The one interesting thing is that when she was reading her husband's journal, she learned that the anthropologist on his expedition did go mad, like, did kill a couple of the people, did warn, like, to stay away from them when they tried to approach him. Like, they were separated, but they were in groups, so something did affect the anthropologist, and I couldn't help but think of, like, I guess similarities, or, oh my word, there's a word that's, like, escaping me, but it's, like, it's similar to what the surveyor went from, like, we're mad and thinking something was off with the biologist trying to kill her. Like, no, there's just some similarities there, I guess that makes sense. Like, something's drawing out the paranoia within people there, which I found interesting. And yeah, the biologist, she goes back to the tower, and when she's there, she sees this creature called a courier, which she thinks is responsible for the fungi and all and other stuff in it. And she can't really describe it properly because it's moving, but also she just doesn't have the words to describe it. Like, it's this thing, this entity that is so unnatural. She just doesn't know how to handle it, which should be her breaking point. And she can't put into words like what it looks like, and she also feels like she has the inaccurate equipment to study an inaccurate name for it, like. But yeah, she's able to get away from the aquarium. Before she does, she sees that there's a face in it, and she's seen this face before. When she was in a lighthouse, she saw a picture of who was like the last lighthouse watcher, and she sees his face in a choir. And it seems like this koala thing has like sucked in the life that was in Area X, and it's this one responsible for the changes, for the fact the borders are like expanding, and a lot of other interesting things. Like, she wanted all of the answers, and she's come to accept that she's not going to get all of the answers, that there's some things that is you're not able to really answer, I guess. Yeah, and she also she also acknowledges that there are flaws in methods deployed by the government, and when I said at the beginning of this clip of like her not feeling like belonging anywhere on Earth, she decides to stay on Area X to really try and find bits and pieces of her husband and really like explore more of Area X. Like, she has found her place finally, even if it's not with our world, with people. It's like with these different creatures, and yeah, overall, I really like it. So yeah. And now the next book I will be starting, I probably will just start this tomorrow, is Normal People by Sally Rooney, and I think you all know what this is about. So I don't know, I'm just not really in the mood to go into like synopsis with that one. So yeah, I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and I've just done some work, and I have some more work I need to do, but yeah. And I have done some reading of Normal People, and I'm on page 90. And with this one, we follow these two characters, Marianne and Conyo, and their small town school in Ireland. Conyo is your popular boy, like he's on the football team, or I'm guessing in soccer here in the US. And he's like from a working class family, while Marianne, she comes from a witch family, but she's a social outcast. She doesn't really seem to have any friends. She's a bit of a loner. She prefers spending her time reading books and whatnot. And Connell and Marianne, they grow close because Connell's mother works as a cleaner in Marianne's house. And he goes to pick his mother up. And they hang out and they get close. And while they're in school, like, they start this kind of weird relationship where they're not dating exactly, but they're having sex. And Connor doesn't want anyone to notice because of his reputation. And when he suspects someone might figure it out, or I guess like he worries that people might find out, he kind of breaks it off and asks this other girl to this like formal event that I think it happens at their school. I don't know, there's like a lot of terms used for especially for events that has run over my head. But yeah, that kind of breaks Marianne, and she didn't really care for it, like going to school and all. And so she just quit going to school and went to study in her room. Like, she would only go to school when she had to do tests. So yeah, and then we jump to like the next term because we followed them in their like last a few months of, I guess, in high school, when they're both at Trinity College, and the roles have almost reversed, because now Kano is the social outcast. He prefers reading books and other literature, but it's like he is studying English at Trinity College. With Marianne, she's become more popular, and like she has friends and a boyfriend and whatnot. Like their roles have switched, and I find that really interesting in seeing like them dealing with their teenage insecurities and whatnot. And there was a line in here I really liked on page 80. That's like their life in Kerikli, which they had imbued with such drama and significance, thus ended like that with no conclusion, and it would never be picked back up again. Never in the same way. Like currently is that small town they grew up in, like that's all they really know. And with them graduating high school and like so many people that they knew, like so many of their friends, even they're telling things have changed. Like the life they had in their small town, that's all they ever knew. And when they left it, like, and other people left it, like things have changed. And I guess it's like when you're out of high school, and it's like when you're in high school, like the issues you're having, it's like it's the end of the world essentially. So yeah, but and they like seeing like how Kono, he was making a big deal about nothing. Like his friend even was like, dude, we all knew you were with her. Yeah, and like when he decides to break it up with her, like in hurting her, and really like how his mother, who was pretty chill about it, like was like not happy with him because that was like an asshole move. Like he wanted to show that he was grown up, but he wasn't. And I think with his mother in particular, with that one, it might have been something similar with her, because she had him when she was 17, and his father isn't around, so I think it's like she was played with, and it hurts her to see that her son. I was like, damn, this is mean. But yeah, I'm liking that, seeing how their relationship is, and I'm very much intrigued to see how it will continue to change as they continue to grow. And yeah, and also a few weeks ago I did enter a Goodreads giveaway, and I did win it, and I just got the book. So now would be The Unlucky Ones by Hannah Morrissey, which is I think number 4 in this series, and the Black Harbor series, I believe. You can read this series out of order, but this follows our friends Nikolai and Hazel 8 years after the events of Hello Transcriber, and Hazel has to come back to Black Harbor after her ex-husband is murdered. And yeah, I think I said in the vlog where I was talking about Hello Transcriber, I just wanted to see more of that relationship with Hazel and Nikolai, and I guess, and that I didn't feel like there's proper closure there, and I'm hoping we do get that here. But yeah, I'm excited to read this, which I do plan to read quite soon. And also, if you're curious, this comes out in March, so yeah. And I think that's all for now. So it's the next day, and we did get some snow today, and if I am looking at a bit of wood off the windless reindeer right now, it's because I did have to go out and clean it up, and I just got in, so yeah. But this morning I did do some reading of Normal People, and I'm on page 172, and I cannot help but keep seeing differences between Marianne and Kanye, and like due to their social, economic, and also like I guess social status, like in with their peers, like backgrounds, and how that's caused them to view stuff like money and whatnot differently from one another. I also have to say I also like how seeing the family dynamics between their two families quite different, because Kano, he might be from a working class background, but he seems like to have a pretty good relationship with his mother. Like he loves her, they respect one another, and she just wants the best for him. While with Marianne, who is from a rich background. Her mother doesn't seem to be treating her well. Like thinks she's going nowhere in life. Doesn't really believe she should deserve love. It doesn't seem like when her father was alive, when her father was alive, like that her mother would do anything to try and stop him from beating her. It was like to Marianne, it seems like her mother thought she deserved to be beaten, like she was unlovable, and seeing her dynamic with her brother who treats her like utter shit, and I don't know, it's quite interesting to see that difference. And we see how Connor and Marianne, like, they restart. It's like what's essentially like a friends with benefits sort of thing, but it's also different from when they were in secondary school, because when their friends confront them about it, they're like, yeah, and I guess they're more, in a way, more open about the fact like they're sleeping together, and like it boosts his, I guess, social status in Trinity, because people want to be friends with him because of her. So there's that, and they do. Marion and Connor do talk about Connor's like behavior in their last year of secondary school, and I guess he mentions that he had an anxiety and worries about like what people thought, and it seems like he doesn't give a shit anymore about what people think about him. And I don't know, and we do see how that's kind of broken off once more, because he isn't able to stay in Dublin during the summer. Like he would have enough money to pay for one, but he wouldn't have enough to live off it. So he goes back to their small town, and that essentially breaks off things with Marianne. Like he wanted her to ask him to allow him to stay in her apartment for the summer, and she didn't do that, and he made things worse. Like, these two, they don't know how to fucking communicate with one another, and that's one thing that drives me a bit mad. It's like, talk to one another, you're friends, if that's what you are. Like, yeah, and it's like the same tradition where Marianne doesn't want to speak to Connor, avoiding him. And the thing with money does come up in this part. With Marianne, she doesn't understand the concept of money. She doesn't like the concept of money because she thinks like money takes away your free time, and she likes having her free time. And we also see with other instances like her taking this scholarship exam, not because she has to, but because she wants to, even though she doesn't need the money, and she does acknowledge it. She just took it because she wanted to, like for fun. And with Connor, he did need to work during the summer in order to pay for Trinity, and also he did need a scholarship. And Marianne, she takes money for granted, I fear. Well, Connor, like when he has some savings and he is able to go to Europe during the summer, because he did win a scholarship which would like provide rent and food and whatnot during the entirety of him being in college. He sees the value in money and gives him this sense of freedom he wouldn't have otherwise. And I just see the way they view money quite interesting. And as well, another difference, my word, is that during this part, I mean, they're both in different relationships. Marianne, she's in a relationship that's like, the guy doesn't seem the best. Like, she suggested she's submissive, and he took that as like, I don't know. She allowed this guy Jamie to do whatever he wants to her when they're sleeping together, and he does that. He apparently beats her and chokes her, and all of this other stuff. Like, it doesn't seem like he treats her respectfully, and as well, he doesn't seem to like Connor and just talks shit about Connor behind his back. Like, while with Connor, he's starting to date this girl named Helen. And Helen seems like a respectable girl from what we've learned so far. We've not really been properly introduced to her so far. We've just learned about her through Connor, but it seems like there's respect there. Well, so I'm just very much trying to see where this goes. And from what we've seen, like Connor is kind of going down some sort of writing career thing. Like he is an English major, and he does when he is in Europe and he's emailing Marianne. He puts a lot of thought into what he's saying to her. That's probably because he wants to impress her, or whatever. Like he doesn't. But also he does write stories and one-on notebooks. I'm curious to see where that goes. And also, he's almost given up on an idea of looking for a job while Marianne, and it doesn't seem like she's ever thought of it. Like it seems like she thought, oh, money will always be there, always be safe. Like, I don't know. So I'm intrigued to see where that goes. If how they behave now will affect them in the future. Like, because I'm pretty sure one point from my synopsis I heard is that their economic situations are quite different. Like, Connor will be in a place where he has money and Marianne won't. So. Yeah, I'm just intrigued where that will go, and yeah, I think that's all for now. And yeah, I'll see you. So it's the next day, and I'm quite tired. It's because for a few reasons, really. It's the first day of that time of the month for me, and usually I just get like really tired, quite low energy. So, but also because I did do the full like grocery shop, which included a couple more extra stores. I went to this Eastern European store that we go to buy my dad bread, and I also bought another Danish and a few other bits and pieces. I yeah. And it was extremely windy today. My word, I was literally washing and I was so cold. So yeah, Grandma is awake. Well, Grandma mode is awake in your life, I should say. But I did do quite a bit of reading before I left this room today, and I'm on page 232 of Normal People, and I'm still liking it. I don't know how much reading I'll be doing more today. I'm pretty sure I'll just finish this tomorrow, so yeah. But we see Connor's relationship with Helen and how he feels. She brings out, like, I guess the better side of him, like, it seems like the way he's talking about it, like, she's almost the safe option, a smart option, because he is what, quote unquote, like, what's normal. Like, he doesn't say weird stuff during sex and behave weird, like something that would be considered abnormal. I mean, it's a quite interesting link. And I think he knows that he should be with her, who I think part of him still desires Marilyn, and who he feels sorry for, because to him it seems like she doesn't really have a safe or healthy thing in her life, like with relationships. Like he sees her relationship with Jamie, he's been told her relationship with her family, like yeah. I mean, speaking of family relationships, like that's another difference. That's a difference that's like they cannot really understand the other person in that regard, because they've been so used to one thing, I guess. Missing, like she tells him how her family treats her and how she went back for the holidays. Her brother told her to kill herself right in front of their mother, who did nothing about it. Like, that's extremely fucked up, and yet he can't really bring himself to imagine something like that, probably due to the fact he has a different relationship, like a different dynamic with his mother. Like, he knows what a healthy family relationship is. Well, there's a scene at the beginning where the grandmother seems to resent him a bit, but I'm not sure if it's like she's just upset like all of her children messed up in some way, because his family just didn't have the best reputation in that town. But yeah, and we see Marianne, she transferred colleges to be in Sweden. I'm not sure if she actually transferred from Trinity, or if it's like some like weird study abroad program she's in, but yeah, but it seems like that being in Sweden it's not good for her. Like, we see after how she lost a lot of her friends after she broke up with Jamie. A lot of them sided with Jamie, and turns out a lot of them were just assholes. And like we see her eating habits, how she actually says like she would take a few bites of some sort of pastry in the morning and night for 8 or 9 hours. How she'll fill a bottle of water just to pour out at the end of the day. Like it just seems like she is mentally nowhere. He's getting worse, and she's also in this like I guess relationship with this artist, aka photographer, who he doesn't treat her like he degrades her. Like he's like, oh, you're early. It's like, what does that mean? Or he'll make her pose. He's a photographer. He'll make her pose like topless and have her like tied up like her wrist side and blindfolded, and she's like she doesn't want to. She doesn't feel comfortable. Like she actually says in a way. He doesn't outright force her, but he's like, come on. Like, he kind of forces her to do it to him because she's done uncomfortable. Like, there's other ways he degrades her. Like, he plays this game, like, where they'll have sex and he won't let her shower until he says so, and that's when the game ends. And he also says stuff like she's worthless and whatnot. Like, she doesn't know if she likes it or not. Like, I think in a way, like, because she's been, like, people have treated her that way her entire life. I think it's something she expects, something she's used to. Like, she doesn't, like, Kano seems to have treated her decently, but, I mean, in school, he was a bit of an asshole, even if, like, he has regrets. Like, still, like, when she has, I guess, proper relationships, like, she's just not treated the best. And you see how back in Ireland, Kano is struggling because, in a way, he feels like because he has the scholarship, he feels like he's becoming distant with his friends. Like, he was able to move out of that apartment with his friend Niall, but also he doesn't really. His friends are really part of the scholarship life he has to deal with. Yeah, and as well, a friend of his from back in his hometown went missing and was found and then had his body pulled from like a river or something, and he feels guilty because he lost touch with his friend. Like he didn't keep in touch. He didn't keep. I think the friend didn't message him like about a year prior, and he's never responded. So in a way, he has regrets, and he just feels guilty for not staying in touch with people. And it seems like his depression and anxiety has gone worse because with his depression, he was lying on the floor in his room in this didn't care if he ever got up. Like he was almost tempted just to lie there and die from dehydration, and he wondered how long it would be before someone like found his body. And with his anxiety, it seems like it's gotten worse in the sense that he's actually getting panic attacks that seem quite severe. And his friend now is worried about him and does recommend and suggests he go to this like free counselor service. I think it's provided by the university, which he does. And it seems like I don't know, both of them are not doing well when they're separated like this. I don't know, even if they're both dealing with like their own life stuff. And as well, Helen broke up with him. I think she was upset because he didn't introduce her to his childhood friends when they went for the funeral of his friend. He thought it was inappropriate, which it is. Like it's not a way time or place to meet your girlfriend. But I think the thing is that really upset her is that she noticed that he was paying attention to Marianne, and that upset her. Like, I don't know, I just never really got to know Helen properly. I think like she seems like this girl, like she was old-fashioned in some ways, as we were told, but yeah, like I don't know. I think people can see that he is in love with Marianne or desires her. Yeah, I mean, just see like I don't know him going deeper in this idea of becoming a writer, and he goes to a reading and he hates the reading, like even a writer there is reading it because it's like the writer is reading his work like he's separate from his work, and there's no emotion, nothing. He just feels nothing towards that piece of work, and the writer is like that's not what work is. Like writing is like inspire you to do something, inspire something within you, and yeah, and he just has to read the words on a page, and that's really it. Yeah, and Connor just talked to the writer afterwards, and sees other people's opinions about writing, and he gives them some ideas about his story he's writing. So yeah, I think that's all for my opinions for now. Again, I'm probably gonna finish this tomorrow. I don't really know if I'll be doing much reading today, but we shall see. Anyway, I will probably update you tomorrow because I want to lie down. I am so tired. So yeah, and yeah, that's it for now. Also, I have to say one more thing. I'm gonna be so for real with you all. Is that I was actually gonna try to be more of a lifestyle person and just like bring you grocery shopping with me and whatnot, because I feel like this week's been quite boring in the sense like I haven't been done much. I haven't really brought you along. I haven't brought you along anywhere really in a while, and I was like, come grocery shopping with me sort of thing, and I was like, nope. I was literally rushing just to get out of that wind. Like I couldn't bother taking off my gloves to hit record. Like I'm wearing big gloves. Like yeah. But maybe I'm not gonna make any promises about tomorrow, but we shall see. And yeah. I did go out today. I did go to this library sale and whatnot. And if you saw from that footage that there was I happened to drive by, I stopped on the side of the road just to take a video of it. It's because I thought that it looked beautiful. Like I wasn't able to find like a proper parking lot or anything for me to park in to really kind of walk around and and even if I did. It was quite chilly, so I don't think I would have, because I'm an old lady and I get cold so easily. And it was very beautiful, and I did do quite a bit of reading. I did finish Normal People this morning, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I have also started another book. I started The Lamb by Lucy Rose, but I think I'm gonna just give my full update on my reading from now on in my next vlog, considering it is Saturday and after I finish this clip, I'll be ending this vlog, so yeah, but so far in The Lamb, I'm on page 36, and to give you, I guess, a sneak peek of my thoughts on it so far, that I'm intrigued, I'm loving the writing, and my word, is I have to say, my word. But yep, but with Normal People is we see Marianne, who's back in Dublin, how she joins protests for causes she believes in. She hangs out with the friends she has left, but in a way she's still wandering and aimless. She's still trying to find her way. She acknowledges that she was bad in Sweden. This anyway, being in Sweden broke something in her, and it is because of her. And she's also seen she's not revered anyway, but she's not she's no longer this popular person. She's somewhere in between, and nobody really, someone who's invisible, and she accepts the fact she's this an average human being who people don't pay special attention to anyway. And yeah, I like that change in her thought process. And really, there was a line in here when she was talking about her experience in Sweden, how it was a couple of weeks, which I still don't fully understand why she was in Sweden in the first place, but and how that was a chapter of her life that's since closed. And I don't know, I like that line. I like lines about a chapter of your life, because you'll go close, I guess, There will be different experiences. In some chapters they're longer than others. But she and Kano do have a conversation about how there are so many misunderstandings between one another. One person will say something or not say something, say what they fully want to say, and the other person will misinterpret it or misunderstand it. And I don't know, they do acknowledge that they don't fully communicate what they want to say, and then how Kano thinks their friendship would have been easier, things were different, if they weren't attracted to one another, or if they acted on their feelings properly. They're in this I would say the relationships in between this thing where they're not friends but they're not lovers. There's something else, I guess, this third entity, and I don't know, it's not the best for their friendship. And with Kano, we see how he sends a copy of his story to his college's magazine and how the editor wants to publish it. He still doesn't have the confidence to really have it properly published, to have others read his story and to know him. Because when he does, he's given a piece of himself to others, and he's still hesitant. He acts on, he does a lot of actions where he kind of tries to one from the outcome. He thinks he's hoping for another outcome, but he gets the outcome that's probably better for him, but he's scared. We see that later at the end of the novel. But yeah, he agrees to have it published, but under a pseudonym, and then when it is published, he notices that it wasn't edited at all, mistakes made were left in, and he's embarrassed by it, even if no one knows it's him. And yeah, there's that. That's in my notes. I didn't do notes this, so I don't feel like I'm just a rumbling mess. And I have the worst memory in the world, annoyingly. Yeah, we go back to kind of our end, and there is a confrontation between Marianne and her brother where she was at Kano's, she goes back home, her brother he just likes to start confronting him because he's bored and he tells her to stay away from Kano, even though he likes Kano, I don't know, it's a whole thing. And she tries to close her bedroom door on him, and he tries to get in, and he does open the door, hitting her in the face, and it's quite a bloody mess from there, because she did get hit by a door. But yeah, she calls Kano, who comes and picks her up, and it seems like that's the moment when she just cuts out her family and stops talking to them, which is definitely better for her, because my word, her family were assholes. We kind of see how she has this part-time job, it seems by kind of her family, she's actually grown up a bit. She works part-time for this guy who pays her in cash, and she doesn't know what he does exactly, which, yeah. And we see how she and Kano, the relationship has changed. And Kano, she accepts he does have this power over her that none of her exes have had, really. She gives herself over to him willingly, and it's not he doesn't need to be violent. He can just talk lovingly to her, and boom, she gets what she wants, which is to feel powerless, to feel like someone has control over her. And yeah, she did try to be independent from everyone and everything, but it has accepted the fact she does have to be dependent on others. And what I'm saying about earlier with him submitting his story and then carrying out from himself for it to be published is the same, because he applied to this MFA program in New York for a creative writing program. And he got accepted, even if he didn't think he would. And he tells Marianne he'll decline the offer because he wants to stay with her. And Marianne's like, no, you go with. She knows this would be good for him, and even if they do meet other people, and even if this might change things in a way, he'll always come back to her, it seems like. So yeah, she does tell him, and then go do it. I'll be here. Like always think, I don't know, I think even if they, because they acknowledge, like, they made decisions based upon another, because if it wasn't for Marianne, he wouldn't have ended up at Trinity, he wouldn't have had experiences he did, because if he had never met her, and I think in a way he's scared of what would happen if her influence wasn't there at all. So, I mean, you do need to know what it is to be someone without the other person. Yeah. Overall, I did enjoy it, and I gave it 4 stars. And I should say, when I was at that book sale, I did get a few books, and I did spend $10 in total for 5 books, which isn't bad. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through them. The first one I got was The Paleontologist by Luke Dumas. I read A History of Fear by him last year, and I just wanted to read more. I know from a couple people I've watched on BookTube, they've not really given this much praise as much as A History of Fear, but I'm still intrigued. And with this one, we follow a curator of paleontology, Dr. Simon Nearly, who never expected to return to his Pennsylvania hometown, let alone the Museum of Natural History. He was just a boy when his 6-year-old sister was abducted from the museum under his watch, and the guilt has haunted him ever since. After a recent breakup and the death of the aunt who raised him, he feels drawn back to the place where Morgan vanished, in search of the bones they never found. But from the moment he arrives, things aren't what he expected. The Hawthorne is a crumbling ruin and still closed amid the ongoing pandemic and plummeting toward financial catastrophe. Worse, Simon begins seeing and hearing things he can't explain: strange animal sounds, bloody footprints that no living creature could have left, a prehistoric killer looming in the shadows of the museum. Terrified, he's losing his grasp on reality. Simon turns to the handwritten research diaries of his predecessor and uncovers a blood-soaked mystery 150 million years in the making that could be the answering to everything. I'm very much intrigued by that even. Next would be The Drive by Jane Harper. This is about federal agent Aaron Falk, who hasn't been back to the place where he grew up in 20 years, not since he and his father were one out of town. And even when word gets out that his childhood friend is dead and his entire family is murdered, he still isn't planning on going back. But then he gets a note: Luke lied, you lied, be at the funeral. And just like that, he is back into the secrets of the place and the people he left so long ago. When he returns for the funeral amid the worst drought in a century, long buried mysteries resurface, among with the lies that accompany them, and folk will discover anew what he's known all along. Sometimes you have to go back home in order to finally leave your past behind. Next. So, speaking of Sally Rooney, I did get Beautiful World, Where Are You by her. I saw this at 7. Why not? And this is about Alice, who meets Felix and asks him if he'd like to travel to London. And with her in Dublin, her best friend Elaine is getting over a breakup and slips back into flirting with Simon, a man she has known since childhood. The 4 of them are still young, but life is catching up with them. They desire each other, they delude each other, they get together, they break up, they have sex, they worry about sex. They worry about their friendships and the world they live in, and are they standing in a last lighted room before the darkness bearing witness to something? Will they find a way to believe in a beautiful world? God, A Marvelous Light by Freya Marsk. I'm sorry if I butchered that last name. But this is about Robin, who has more than enough bother in his life. He's struggling to be a good older brother, a responsible employer, and the Herod Baronet of a seat gutted by his late parents' excesses. When an administrative mistake sees him named the Silver Service Leons to a hidden magical society, he discovers what's been operating beneath the extraordinary reality he's always known. Now Robin must contend with the beauty and danger of magic. An excruciating deadly curse and alarming visions of the future that comes with it. Not to mention Edward Corsley, his cold and picky counterpart in a magical bureaucracy, who clearly wishes Robin were anyone and anywhere else. Robin's predecessor has disappeared, and the mystery of what happened to him reveals unsettling truths about the very oldest stories they've been told about the land they live on and run blindly. Fun together and facing unexpected dangers, Robin and Edward discover a plot that threatens every magician in the British Isles, and a secret that more than one person has already died to keep. And lastly, but certainly not least, is The Girl from Blood by Katrina Ward, which I did have to look up if this was the same Katrina Ward of like The Last House on Needle Street, and I think it is. But this takes place at the turn of England's century, as the wind whistles in the lonely halls of Wablood. Young Iris Velaka is the last of her family's line. They are hunted through the generations by her, a curse passed down through ancient blood that marks each Velaka for certain heartbreak and death. Iris forsakes her promise to her father to remain alone, safe from the world. She dares to fall in love, and the consequences of her choice are immediate and terrifying. As the world falls apart around her, she must take a final journey back to Wablood, where it all began and where it all must end. So, yeah, I'm very much intrigued about that. And that is it. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm losing energy. I am. I'm just quite tired. Still not feeling well, but yeah, I think that's it for this week. And yeah, that's it for this vlog. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below telling me what you've been up to recently. If you want to, please subscribe to this channel. And if you want to follow me on any social media, then those links are in the down bar below. I'll see you guys next time I post a